Hello YouTube! This is going to be my second review and I've already dug up something controversial. So, I got this for Christmas. Yeah, I know I'm kind of late on this. The Left Behind series started in the 90s and the biggest hype about it is over by now, but it still got quite the connotation to be like the most well-known apocalyptic themed series by people that take the apocalypse pretty seriously. So there's 11 parts to this series. There's a YA series that's got like 40 books, smaller ones I suppose. There's at least one movie out there. There's terrible video games. So I wanted to know what the hype was all about. Now, I do have to warn you, I'm totally biased about this kind of book. I don't buy into the rapture thing, and it's also generally not the type of book that I would read. I'm a big fan of dystopian novels, but like this more contemporary stuff isn't really my thing. So, I mean, you can see very clearly when you read this, they try to avoid specific dates. So they want to make you feel like it could happen any time. And that's probably just not my type of book. However, I did try to keep an open mind. I went into reading this, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's not my kind of theme, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad book, right? Yeah, it turned out it was pretty bad. Okay, so basic summary is you have this opening scene where everybody's going about everyday life. One main character is the pilot of the plane, and the other one is a reporter that is on the plane. And they suddenly realize that a ton of people has disappeared. Just disappeared. Their clothes are left on their seats and they're gone. And then when they land, they discover that this has happened all over the world. People have just disappeared, chaos has emerged, people are in despair because their loved ones disappeared right in front of their eyes, all children disappeared, unborn children were raptured out of the wombs of their mothers. So in the beginning, nobody knows what happened, but of course, one of our main characters already has a clue. Obviously, it's supposed to be Christian rapture, like you can read in the Bible and Revelations. The believers, the true believers, have been raptured, and everybody else was left behind. So everybody is trying to figure out what happened, and our smart main character figures out that it in fact was the rapture, and that they still have a chance to basically repent and to still turn to Jesus, but that 7 years of tribulations are in front of them. Okay, so from born-again Christian viewpoint, this is probably a great book, because as far as Bible verses go, it's backed up perfectly. I mean, everything happens exactly as the Bible foretold. Fire falls from the sky, you have this one world government erupting, and the world being parted into 10 zones, and the 7 years of peace treaty with Israel, and the rebuilding of Babylon and all that. It all fits perfectly. As for anything that does not relate to the Bible, it's terribly researched, and it just, like, you get the feeling that they don't know much about stuff that they're writing about, and that doesn't matter anyway, because the point that they're trying to get across is a religious point. I mean, in the theme, and that's why I gave the book a chance, there's a lot of potential for character development, for development of the relationships between the characters, and world development. There's a lot of potential, but they don't use any of it. The characters are quite shallow, even though I do give them credit for not making them too stereotyped, but they ended up being quite boring anyway. They all just drift along being, your totally average person with not very interesting thoughts, with nothing really to pique the reader's interest, and then suddenly they have this moment where they convert to Christianity, and they talk to Jesus, or you read these long preachy paragraphs from them, how now suddenly they can see, and now they have a meaning in their life and they want to share it with everybody. World development, terrible job. Not well researched at all, of course backed up by all the Bible verses. That's pretty much where they got their plot. They just took all the Revelation verses and made the plot happen according to that. No real description. You don't really hear them thinking a lot about the world as it is, as it changed after this whole disappearances thing. It's just so much potential that wasn't used, and that made it just not a very good read. So, sorry about the many cuts. I found it really difficult to put my thoughts in order about this without being unfair or rambling too much. In summary, I can say that I would not recommend this book to many people. It's you do need to have a background of either believing in all of this, then I guess you would probably enjoy this, or at least knowing what these beliefs are based on, because otherwise it's just going to be confusing, and neither the plot nor the characters nor anything in this book merits you reading this without having a clue what it is about. The plot is obviously quite shallow. It's just taken right out of the Bible, so they didn't really have to think up much of their own. The characters are shallow. The developments, if there are some, are unlikely and sudden and unnatural, and just definitely not a book that I enjoyed. So, I hope you enjoyed this review in spite of the book not being the greatest. Maybe you have a differing opinion about it, if you've read it, or maybe you've heard something else about it, maybe you've seen the movie. Let me know in the comments. Do rate, do subscribe, and I'll see you on the next page.